Welcome to another episode of Investing in Intellectual Property with David. Today we have very special guests with us today. From not getting the car back with Shark Tank to launching their product, having a crazy amount of sales in a short period of time, reapplying to Shark Tank, getting the car back, going on there, and striking a deal with Mr. Wonderful. These two gentlemen's story is one of perseverance. Please help me welcome Brian Halasinski and Kirk Hyust. How's it going, Brian? How's it going, Kirk?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having us, David.
No problem, no problem. Can you guys hear me both loud and clear?
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
No worries, no worries. I know I was telling you guys a little bit offline, just kind of in preparation for this interview. Hey, you guys' story from, again, applying to Shark Tank, not necessarily getting that car back the first time around and then launching a product and reapplying, which I guess I didn't know you can reapply and kind of go through that process, but getting the car back the second time around and, again, going on to Shark Tank. And for anyone who hasn't seen that episode of the Turbo Trusser, man, it's a very intense episode. It's an interesting episode, so I highly recommend everyone to watch that. But then to go on there and ultimately strike a deal with Mr. Wonderful, and it seems like that has been paying off. It seems like that's not always the case with going on Shark Tank and striking a deal with the Sharks and that kind of paying dividends later down the line. But it seems like for your guys' story, it has worked out. So I'm interested in kind of getting off into that part of things. But I also like to like to go back and just kind of go to the beginning. It seems like, Kurt, maybe you were the first to get involved into this IP space, and kind of Brian came along later. Can you kind of maybe, Kurt, starting out with you, kind of give me your introduction to IP law?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I started back in 2014. I had my first invention. I'm a building contractor by trade. So I had an idea for a wrench, and I was like, I've been thinking about it for years. I got to do something.
Right.
So that November of that year, I, got my notes out and all my scribbles, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the plunge to be an inventor. So, I talked to a couple engineering firms in town, and they gave me the name of our current lawyer, our current patent attorney, and we've been with them ever since. And I just started the process back then with the wrench. I read a lot of patents because he said that if you can write a lot of it, it's going to be cheaper. So I really dug in. I read books. I went, looked at the USPTO website, front to back, learning everything I could learn, and just started trying to write my own patents. Of course, he changed it a lot. But I did give him, he knew how it worked. He knew how, I got enough across to him that he didn't have to really ask me a whole lot of questions. And then, since then, I don't know how many patents have we filed, Brian, a lot. A lot of PPAs, because usually I write all the PPAs now. And, we let those take their full course in their year or close to a year, probably 10 months. And then we go to start filing the regular, if we think it has merit, then we file the utility patent.
Nice. So then, how did, I guess, you meet Brian, and how did you guys' relationship form? And again, Brian, definitely feel free to kind of jump in here as well.
Yeah. With Kirk being a contractor, 8 years ago, we moved from one house to another, and the house we bought needed some renovations. And through a friend, we were recommended Kirk to give an estimate, and we've got a couple estimates, and ultimately we ended up going with Kirk. And he was at my house for about 6 months doing various jobs that for the renovation. But during that time, he was actually had trying to bring this wrench to market. He had a prototype. He had lots of different things. And I had never really, thought about inventing or knew much about it. But him being here all the time, we started to talk about inventing and, licensing more licensing than just inventing is, what do you do with the product? You got this invention. Now what? Do you bring it to market? Do you license it? And I didn't know anything about licensing. And Kirk had read a book by Stephen Key called One Simple Idea, and it's all about licensing. So, I kept asking him questions. Finally, he bought me this book, gave it to me, and he's like, you wanted all these answers, read this book. then come back and we'll talk about it. So I ended up, reading the book, and Kirk and I both had a passion for barbecuing. So, as we became friends from him doing the renovation project, we'd have beer after he was done doing some work. Eventually Kirk's got a culinary background as well. So, we just started cooking barbecue, and we're like, let's come up with an invention for barbecue. That's something we both like. The wrench wasn't kind of going anywhere at that time. He was like burnt out on, that product specifically. So he kind of put it down, and we came up with a product called Smokestacks Pans, which was our first invention. We had, long story short, we did a Kickstarter for it. We had a successful Kickstarter. We launched it. But ultimately we wanted to license that product. So, we had tried to license it, didn't get any response, did the Kickstarter to generate some real, dollars, interest, and then fulfilled those orders and went back and tried to pitch it again to license it. But ultimately we never did license that product.
So no, and this is interesting because it seems like the Stephen Key book that you had pointed out, that's all about licensing. And it seems like that's kind of what was the original goal when you guys kind of started this thing, and even Kirk, when you started this thing. So I guess as a question for you all, because I know I interviewed, both Nancy Tedeschi, who has the snap and screw, as well as Julie Austin, who has like the wrist water bottle. It seems like that was maybe the goal. And then with Nancy, it ended up working out where she was able to license her snap and screws to the largest distributor of lens or eyeglasses in the world. So it ended up working out for her. But with Julie, she had a licensing deal that ended up falling through because it seems like one of the companies ended up going bankrupt. So she ended up just kind of bringing this thing to market herself. Do you think that helps or maybe hurts inventors, or I guess neither, if like they maybe have it made up in their mind that they want to go one way, or is it kind of, okay, be open and flexible? Okay, it's cool to have, want to license the product, but kind of be open and flexible in case it just doesn't work out like that. How would you kind of square that up?
Well, I mean, we started with all of our products. We started trying to license.
Yep.
We had 2 deals fall through as well. We had a barbecue lid that fell through. Company went out of business because of COVID. We licensed the wrench, and that fell through because of COVID. They weren't doing anything new. But it's good to go fishing for licensees just to get feedback too, and see what the industry's saying. Because Brian, that's what we did with Turbo Trusser. We tried to license that at the beginning, and then we lost these 2 deals, and Brian was just like, "Screw it, man. Let's try to do it ourselves."
Yeah. We had, you have 2 deals. You sign 2 license agreements. Both of them, they're 7% royalties, but you're totally reliant on the company bringing it to market. Very rarely will a company, give you a minimum guarantee. It happens maybe more in the toy industry than it does in any other industry, because the toy industry is very licensing friendly. They do it all the time. So there can be some minimum guarantees, but without a minimum guarantee and a performance clause, it's really hard to hold anybody accountable, and they're not accountable to you because they don't have to pay anything. So, it's easy for them to walk away. Whereas, then the inventor's out another year, 2 years, the patents, all these things. So, but with that being said, launching your own product is another animal. So you have to be prepared for that. That's why a lot of people want to license it, because who has the ability to either source from overseas or find that thing, make it in America, and make it at a price that can be afforded. So, there's a lot to consider when you're going to venture versus licensing, but both equally are hard.
No, and I was going to say that makes sense. When you're trying to kind of bring a product to market yourself, it seems like it's a whole other can of worms that is open between trying to, are you going to manufacture it in the U.S., overseas? Sometimes you have to manufacture it in a different country. Then you're talking about getting protection, patent protection in those different countries that maybe you're manufacturing things in. So I guess going back to these first few products that you guys did that maybe the licensing didn't work out is what you guys would hope. At that point, I guess what was the next step for you all? Was it, hey, we're going to do something else, or we're going to try to bring this thing to market ourselves with these other products?
Some of the products that we've invented and filed provisional patents for, we pitched them out to companies. nobody was interested. The feedback wasn't where we wanted it, so we move on, right? With the provisional patent, you can file those for a couple $100,
Yeah.
and you've got a year that you can go pitching and fishing, trying to find somebody. But for those 2 products that fell through, I mean, at the time they fell through, we were already working on TurboTrusser. So, we kind of put those to the side, still trying to license them. They're still available for licensing.
Okay.
One of them we're potentially thinking about doing a Kickstarter for, and it would fall under the TurboTrusser brand because it's a barbecue product.
Gotcha.
So there's still potential there, but yeah, I mean, what do you do after? We should go back out and start pitching again for licensing.
Gotcha. No, and that's interesting because a lot of people don't understand, even going back really quickly and focusing on the patent side of things. With those other 2 products, it seems like you guys both not only had the provisional patent application that you guys filed, but did you convert those 2? It seems like you guys converted both of those to non-provisionals then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
got
we've
it.
got, fairly significant monies. I mean, especially the wrench, because Kirk has 7 patents, I think, on that.
Wow.
Yeah, I have 2 utilities, and the rest are design patents. But I have 2 utilities on it. So,
And then,
but it's I just had to pay the maintenance fee, I don't know, a few months ago, which sucks but I'm not going to just abandon it. One of these days we're going to make it.
No, and that's what I was going to say. Because that's a whole nother can of worms. Because you have these, and for people, I guess so much that I want to unpack on just the IP side of it, really quickly. Maybe first with those couple of products, before we get to the Turbo Trusser. When you guys go out and you guys are doing different things, are people asking, hey, do you have protection on this thing? Because a lot of times people maybe don't understand the whole patent side of things, where it's like, hey, you don't need a patent to actually sell something. You can sell anything without having a patent on it. And obviously you have to do a freedom to operate and see if you can sell it without being sued. And that's another story. But in terms of like you having a patent on it, that doesn't give you the license. I mean, yeah, I guess the license to sell something, but it gives you the ability to exclude. It's an exclusionary right where you can prevent others from making it, using it, selling it, those type of things. So when you guys are kind of going out, doing different things with these earlier inventions, are people asking, hey, do you guys have protection on it? Or is that like something that's not as important at this?
Some people ask. Yeah,
Okay.
some people ask, and some people will only take it if you have at least a PPA.
Yep.
Like there are some portals that say if you don't have any
Wow.
any IP rights, don't even send it to us.
well, and David, what we would do with the product, once we come up with the product, we come up with the provisional, we file the PPA, we'll make a sell sheet, a 1-page sell sheet.
Gotcha.
It'll have images, it'll have features and benefits, it'll say patent pending, because once you file the provisional patent, you're now patent pending. So that patent pending will be on all of our products. It'll be on all of our literature. So, we certainly promote that when we're trying to license a product. Most companies will want protection. And if you don't have protection, expect a smaller royalty.
For sure. No, and that makes perfect sense. And like Kurt, you said, I think Brian, you guys said it, for a for provisional patent application, that's a couple $100, especially if you're doing it yourself. Now it may be a little bit more with attorney time if the attorney is kind of drafting things, but even then you can write something up. A provisional application, you don't have any formal requirements. When you convert it to a non-provisional, now you have all these formal requirements where you have to have claims and drawings have to be in a certain way. But with a provisional application, you can write something up and submit the drawings, color drawings, whatever you have, and that's going to get you your filing date, as long as the beat or the important thing is included in that application, that provisional application, you'll be okay. And it's, like I said, relatively inexpensive. So then how do you guys decide, okay, what do I convert into a non-provisional as opposed to just let go of patent? Or at least how was that process? Is it okay? Are we gaining attraction? Do we have a licensing deal on the place? Do we have, or if none of those things are in play, do we just say, okay, screw it, let it go abandon? Because again, I think as Kurt said, once this thing is converted and maybe you have an issue patent, now you have to start worrying about maintenance fees, which, is a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah. I mean, we've let, I don't know how many inventions that we actually let go. We've thought of a bunch of stuff. I mean, we'll just sit and brainstorm.
I'd say probably at least 4 PPAs we've let go abandoned.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay.
And then the one we licensed, we converted to a non-provisional, and then they went out of business. And Kirk, his wrench, he certainly is. That was something that he filed a lot of patents on. Probably would have done things a little bit different now.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, at the time. We've learned a lot along the way too. So, and then the Turbo Trusser, once we knew we were going to bring that to market, we knew we were going to have to convert that at some point. So we got a utility patent issued on that with no office actions.
And just that's, I mean, and I have a few of those as well. But that's typically a rare occasion where you have a first action allowance is what we call it. Typically, I tell people all the time, you're typically going to get an office action, a non-final office action that's going to deny the application. That's going to say is out there somewhere. And obviously that's when you have to go back and forth with the examiner. But to have those first action allowances, that's typically not a typical thing. And it's okay if it does. It's great. And you almost kind of from a strategic standpoint, like, okay, do we file a continuation to try to broaden up the claims? If the claims as is were patentable, do we try to go at the broader protection with a continuation? Was that anything that you guys kind of thought about with that first action allowance with the Turbo Trusser?
No, we didn't. We did do a continuation in part because we came up with another one. So I mean, there really aren't any more continuations. I mean, what we have in our original patent, there really isn't anything else. It's so simple that, I mean, we got a lot in there already, for a piece of stamped metal and 2 wires.
Right.
But no, we didn't file anything like that.
And that's interesting because you would think, okay, with something so simple that, like how do you come up with this much information on it? I know with Nancy Tedeschi, she had the snapping screw, which pretty much a screw with a tab on it. So when you put it in your glasses and screw it in, you just break off the tab. And it's a very simple invention. And she was saying how she had like 100 claims on it. Just so many claims, different variations. So you would think that, okay, with something that simple, it can't be too much that you can protect or whatnot, but you'll be surprised, especially once you get it to an attorney hands who, get to kind of craft different claims or whatnot. So then, okay, like you said, this is simple with the stamp metal sheet with the and maybe kind of going back a little bit with the Turbo Trusser. Can one of you kind of maybe just describe what it is and kind of talk about that a little bit? Because I had to kind of look up and see what it was and just even talking about the problem that it's solving. I like that. There you go, Brian. So what does?
Why don't you talk? Go ahead.
Yeah, what it is, you can see there's 2 chicken heads there and 2 holes in where the eyes are. You put the wires through there and you put the legs in the cradle. You can kind of see it. Turn it over, Brian. Turn it back and we can see that big picture. There we go. You can see it on the bird. So what you do is you just hook the legs in and you hook the wings with the wires and, that's it. But if you look on the front, the structure that it is, it's obviously the wires going through the eyes and connecting to the wings. You got the rotisserie and deep fry hole. So you can put your rotisserie rod through there. Yeah, you got the little wing hooks. See those little bird heads on the outside there? That's for rotisserie. So when it flips upside down, those little beaks catch on the skin and the legs don't fall out.
Yeah,
and then the beak's there too. It kind of holds it in, basically. And the turkey's kind of the same way. There's turkey beaks that actually hold the legs in when it spins upside down, and it keeps the legs in there nice and tight.
And just for people, I guess such as myself, who maybe wasn't as familiar with the issues of not having those turkey legs tight or maybe that aspect of it and how it maybe uncooks uneven or is that?
Yeah, it cooks more evenly. When you hook the legs and the wings together, you're cooking it as one piece of meat. So if you just let it lay there in your oven or on your grill, you're cooking the legs separate than the thighs and the wings. But when you bring it all together and you truss it, then your bird's going to cook more evenly. It's going to be juicier because the juices distribute evenly throughout the bird.
Traditionally, that's done with butcher's twine. So for the last 100 years, people have been using string, and it's difficult. You have to watch a video to kind of, if you don't do it often, which most people don't, you have to watch a video. You're trying to figure it out at the same time you're doing it. It's just a mess. And with the Turbo Trusser, it takes 20 seconds. Even if you have, issues with hand dexterity, you're older people, it's easy to do it. And then you just throw it in the dishwasher when you're done, and it'll last forever.
Nice. And It seems like you said, it's a pretty simple and easy to use invention, which I'm sure you guys know. Seems like the moniker or the acronym is KISS, keep it simple. Is it's what everybody. I mean, I think that was anytime you have a good product, it's a pretty simple and easy to use, not complex or have whole lot of parts. So I guess with this particular invention or product, what was the final straw or the final decision of, okay, we're going to bring it to market? Was it the feedback that you were getting, or was it, hey, no, we just believe in it? I guess what was that decision-making process to say, hey, we're going to bring this to market?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I would say it was a combination of things. We got some really good feedback because by the time we submitted the TurboTrusser to some companies, we had some relationships with people, right? We had submitted 3-4 products that they've said no on so far, right? But, we got some really good feedback. It was during the pandemic in 2021 that we tried to launch this and license it. Companies were still reeling from that. They're still just trying to get their supply chains in order, let alone bringing on new products and licensing things. So the feedback was good. And the other piece was, can we make it in the U.S., but more specifically, can we make it in Ohio? If we can do that, then we can launch this thing. If we had to go to China, no way. We don't know anything about that. It would have been a whole nother hurdle to get over. But the fact that we live in Canton, Ohio, which is an hour from Cleveland, and this used to be the Rust Belt, and there's still quite a bit of manufacturing left here. So we went on the hunt with our prototypes and our drawings, and we found companies in Ohio to manufacture the Turbo Trusser, and our supply chain's like 1 hour around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's perfect. It's a dream to have to just drive and go visit your suppliers. And even last year we ran out of some turkeys, and we're just like, we need turkeys. So our manufacturer started making turkeys. We needed more packaging. They said it's going to be 2 weeks. We're like, is there any way you can do it any better? They had it in 3 days. It was crazy. They had packaging in 3 days for us. It was great. Yeah, it's unheard of.
And I was going to say that's another thing with Ohio, as well as Michigan, because I stay in Michigan and a lot of other states in the Midwest. People don't understand that manufacturing is still, it's a lot of manufacturing done, like you said, in Ohio, even in Michigan and Indiana and some of these other states in the Midwest, which is something that you maybe don't get as much in other states. So that's interesting. So then you guys are getting good feedback, and it seems like the manufacturing was a big part of it. So let me ask you this: if you guys had to maybe manufacture in a different state, or like you said, it seems like if it had to be in a different country such as China, you guys wouldn't have maybe gone through with it or brought it to market. Was that decision as far as, hey, can we manufacture it in Ohio? If it wasn't in Ohio, do you guys think you would have still tried to figure out a way, or maybe not so?
Possibly, but
definitely if it was out of the country, no. But we were confident that we were going to be able to find the companies in Ohio.
Okay.
Stampers are pretty easy. There's quite a bit of stamping going on. The wire part of it, it's because it's so simple. We were pretty confident that we could do that, but there were still financial hurdles. You still have to buy inventory, hope that you're going to sell it. Because it's all, you don't know. You've gotten feedback, but you haven't even shown the general public yet because you're just patent pending. You're trying to keep it a secret as long as possible. And so we ended up getting a seed investor, and they gave us the money to get started with the percentage of the company. And then that's how we got started. We bought some inventory, and we ended up selling. We launched it on November 1st of 2021, and by the end of that year, 2 months, we had sold $50,000 worth.
And that's still crazy to me that you guys sold that many in just a short period of time.
It still blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I guess before digging into that, because it seems like, Kurt, you're still working at this point. Brian, you also are working, but
Yep.
yeah, from my understanding, you're in that pharmaceutical industry. Do you?
Yep.
At what point do you say, and maybe you're still working within the industry, at what point do you say, okay, because again, somebody is, you have a seed investor giving you money, and it seems like a lot of times with these seed investors, they want to see that you're 100% bought in, as opposed to, okay, I'm still doing something over here, but I'm running this company. So how do you make sense of that, or at least answer that question if it did come up with the seed investor?
Well, and Kevin O'Leary too. Once he became part of the company, now he owns 33%. So everybody's certainly there's obligations that have to be kept on both ends. And, my job is I'm on the road a lot. So there's a lot of drive time. So phone time can be doubled up. So I'm working two at a time. Yep. And luckily for us, we're the only 2 employees, but everything, because of the way our company is structured, it's the supply chains is really tight. It's not hard to manage. And then, Kirk handles all the shipping logistics, and we're just able to make it work right now.
Nice.
At some point, hopefully it grows to that point where we have to, either hire people and make a decision, or, go all in on ourselves as well. But what we're trying to do is set it up to where we literally don't have to touch the product at all ourselves. It goes from the manufacturer to our, assembly person, and then it goes into the warehouse, and then it's going to go out to the customers.
Right. You guys are taking more of a hands-off approach at that point. And
we're just trying to we have to outsource about everything because we don't do any of those things. So we're just trying to make it to where the product just flows through a channel, the system, basically our system, and then it goes right out to the customers.
Nice. And so I know we already talked about it in terms of being on Shark Tank, but in terms of like diving into that deeper, whose decision was it to say, hey, let's get on Shark Tank? And again, like I said, as I was preparing for this interview, it was some statistics that I think you guys were throwing out that blew me away, as far as like just the amount of applications that they get, as opposed to how many that they actually go with, to even, okay, if someone strikes a deal, that doesn't mean that they're going to work with them after their due diligence phase. So a lot goes into the Shark Tank story. But as far as starting at the beginning, whose decision was to say, hey, let's get on Shark Tank and see if we can strike a deal with one of those guys?
I think it was just both of our decisions.
Yeah, I don't know.
That at the time, COVID changed things. Prior to COVID, with Shark Tank, you had to go to like major cities would have like open casting.
Okay.
And you would go there and you would pitch your product live, and then they would narrow it down. Kind of like they do on those singing shows, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
America's Got whatever. They go town to town and find the best singers and narrow it down. Well, then with COVID hit, it became a fully online process.
So was it a partially online process before, or was it always or was it?
It might have had some online component to it, but I most of it was casting calls.
Mm-hmm.
It would go, and for us, when the last time they were doing it, I think the closest was Pittsburgh, which is not far, 2 hours. We would definitely have done it. But for this product, we just had to simply go online, fill out a form, and apply. So we did that before we launched the product. Right before we launched, we applied. And then we didn't hear anything back. And so after we had sold 50,000 worth, said, well, it doesn't hurt. It's all online. Let's go apply again.
Right.
So we applied again and didn't hear anything. And then like 2 months later, we got a call, and it just started the whole process of narrowing down companies every week.
So and can you talk about like even that process, the narrow down process, or how many applicants that they get per year, as opposed to how much they actually
getting about 50,000 applicants a year.
That's crazy.
They're narrowing it down to about 125 people that go and tape. And then of those, maybe 100 will air. So
and of those, like 20% of the people get deals. And then I don't know how many close. I don't know how many deals close, but it's probably half of that. Because a lot of the deals that you see people shaking hands on Shark Tank, a lot of those deals fall through.
Do you think that the due diligence phase, is that where things are falling through?
Yeah, exactly. So once you make a deal on TV, then, of course the shark, they know nothing about you. They don't, you've given the company information to ABC and Shark Tank, but from what we're told is the sharks don't have any of that information prior to you going into the tank. You go in there, they make a deal based on what you've talked about in that 45-minute period of time or whatever it is. Some companies are in there longer. And then if you make a deal, you're shaking hands. The next step is opening up your books and letting the Sharks company see and make sure and verify everything you said is correct. Did you have $1 million in sales or not? Are you, if you're telling things that aren't exactly true, that could cause the deal to fall through. Sometimes you get the entrepreneurs will back out. Maybe they made a deal that they didn't really want to make, but they did, and now they had buyer's remorse or seller's remorse, whatever you want to call it. So, but yeah, Kirk's right. So, say 100 people air, you might get 20 deals in a season, and then you might get, 10 of those that actually close.
Wow. And I didn't realize that you guys, as the company owners, can also back out of a deal. I thought maybe it was just the sharks have that ability to back out once they go through due diligence, but they still give you guys as the company owners an opportunity to back out after that handshake is made.
Yes.
Yeah, that could, because maybe the sharks changed their mind too. The deal could change a little bit on the back end based on the numbers they see, et cetera. So, or you just, again, you have somebody, maybe they have partners back at home and they made a deal that they shouldn't have. And now they go home and their seed investors are like, we're not giving up 30% and a royalty. No way, you're not doing it. And, while that should have been discussed before they ever went out there, I'm sure it happens.
No, and that makes perfect sense. So then with your guys' appearance on Shark Tank, you guys have the costumes, and again, I heard you say before that you guys are actually on the floor for 30 minutes or so, but that kind of gets narrowed to this 10-minute episode. So can you kind of walk through that experience of actually being in a tank and kind of going through that experience, and maybe what are some things that they didn't show on TV that maybe were interesting about the experience?
Well, I mean, it was intense. They did show what it's really like on the tank. If you would have watched that live episode last year, if you watched the first episode last year, that's live. That's what it's really like to be in the tank without the studio audience.
Okay.
Because the sharks are fighting. They're, you see some of that, back and forth, and most of it's playful. Of course, they're not really arguing, but it's they go after each other on there. And then you have like all of them are asking questions at the same time, and you got to figure out which question they answer. So it's just intense like that. And then, I messed up my lines, and then they had to stop Brian because he was sweating profusely, and I'll let him tell that story. But
they didn't air that part. That's one thing that was cut.
It was crazy.
So they actually stopped the recording because you were sweating. I guess.
Well, no, they keep recording. They just edited it out. But at one point, we're in the middle talking, answering questions. Barbara looks over to whoever and says, "Hey guys, can we take a second here? Can somebody wipe him down? He's sweating profusely." That's me because I'm in that chicken suit.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm roasting like a chicken up here, and they laughed. But then they just patted me down, got us back, and then just start right back up, and they edit that out. But there's no resetting on your, if you go in and totally mess up your opening pitch,
you're done.
You're going back and doing it again. You can't start over.
And this is interesting because when I watched the episode, right, I thought you had some of the best comeback lines. I mean, but whether it was good or bad that they were saying, you had something like a comeback line that was, kind of based on a product, and at least based on what they showed online or showed on the episode. The sharks seem to like chuckle and laugh, and they seem to kind of be into it, as opposed to kind of have this stale face based on the kind of the comeback lines that you had, which I thought were interesting. I guess
being in costume certainly helped to bring some, comedy to it. But yeah, there was a couple one. I think, I told Robert, he bowed out, and I told him, don't chicken out, not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. No, that was one of the ones that I was, but everybody seemed to, at least what they showed on TV, seemed to laugh, and they thought that was pretty interesting and funny. Did you guys, because I was telling you guys, beforehand that I interviewed Dan Klissner, who created Bop It, and obviously with these toy companies, you're actually pitching that to a number of different companies and kind of building those relationships. Did you guys, kind of back to you guys, was it some type of preparation for the pitch? Or are you used to pitching to other companies or other people, or kind of what went into that for you guys? Because it's essentially a pitch on Shark Tank. That's what you're doing, pitching your product to the sharks. So was there any preparation for that, or were you guys used to doing that? And kind of, I guess, they say the art of the deal, but from your guys' perspective, what is the art of the pitch in terms of some things that you want to make sure you're including in your pitch to somebody else?
So during the process of, once you apply to Shark Tank and then they call you, then that starts the, hey, we're interested in talking to you, but no guarantees.
Right.
So then we had to come up, they say, make a pitch, write up a pitch for your product. They kind of give you like, hey, this is how it should flow.
Yep.
And, make a video and send it back to us in a week. Mm-hmm. And then, so we find costumes real fast. The turkey costume that Kirk wore on TV, that was the original costume from our pitch video that we made in my kitchen. And then we had to turn it around fast. So I had found an inflatable chicken costume, and we had come up with that on our own. That was something that Shark Tank didn't come up with. Okay. We said, let's wear full costumes. We have a product for chickens, a product for turkeys. So we get in these costumes, we write our own script, and we set up a phone and we record ourselves doing the pitch in my kitchen. And then we send it in. And from there, once they continue to narrow it down, you're assigned producers and they help you work through that pitch and
fine it. Yeah. Fine tune it. And then you can't say so many things on TV. So obviously your pitch has to be approved and all that, by the the network and all that, just so producers and the lawyers and everything. So, but yeah, they work with you. They kind of help you emphasize this, not that, they want to see you successful. The producers are there. They want to see you get a deal. So they're doing everything they can to help you.
So then, obviously you have that pitch and the producers are helping you, but then when you're in that tank and they're asking you questions, because it seems like that'd be tough to try to replicate or duplicate in practice. Maybe not. As far as
after the pitch, that's the only part that's scripted. Yep. Is our pitch that we memorized and go in and execute. And as you can see, it's live. Kirk forgot his lines for a second, and then came back, and we were back on track. But after the pitch, like I said, when we walked in there, they didn't know us at all.
Right.
Then they started asking questions based on our pitch, and all of that is unscripted.
Mm-hmm. And there's really no way to prepare for it.
Right. And you can prepare for it by knowing your business.
Right.
Yeah. Your numbers and your business, you're prepared.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's what I was going to say. Is it just knowing your business, knowing the numbers, and that's going to give you the confidence to be able to ask those questions or answer those questions? Because it seems like, and again, it's not just one person that you're pitching to that's answering the question. Like you said, sometimes all five sharks may be talking at the same time. So you're like, okay, which one do I want to answer? And they may be different questions. It seems like it's a lot going on. Like I said, very intense setting there.
Very intense. Questions coming in. You just have to decipher who to answer. We certainly going in, we didn't even know which sharks were going to be on the show until I think a couple days beforehand. Mm-hmm. They don't even tell you any of that information. So then we knew who was going to be on there, and we had targeted Kevin O'Leary because he's Chef Wonderful and we like him first off, but he has that chef persona, which is perfect for our product. And then Lori was our second option, being that she just is, retail is her thing and QVC and all of that. So we kind of had a target once we knew, but going in, we were ready to, make a deal with anybody if possible. Our goal was to make a deal going in.
Right. No, and that's interesting because as I was watching the episode and seeing the sharks, those are two people that I pointed out because it's always seemed like Mark, he's kind of big into like the electronics and kind of that space. And then I think as Kevin, maybe not Kevin, was it Kevin on the far right side?
Robert's like cybersecurity guy. Yeah.
Exactly. And just scalability, because I think he maybe said something about just being able to scale the product. So it seems like you said, Lori with QVC and then Mr. Wonderful, Kevin, it seems like those were two that I just identified at the beginning before the pitch got going that, okay, these are maybe the two that they would be interested in doing the deal. So, but everything kind of shrinks down to Kevin. The other sharks start to be out one by one, and then it's all on Kevin. So were you guys nervous at that point, or what? Because it seemed like it was going back and forth. He wanted the 33% and then $1 on every dollar royalty payment on every one that sold. And it seemed like you guys were trying to kind of get them down to a lower percentage. And
he didn't budge.
Yeah, no, I was like, man, this guy is not budging. It's like take it or leave it. Did
Yeah,
you guys?
it was. It pains me when I watch episodes now and he's making deals and he's getting soft and he gives him a little break and I'm thinking no break. We're dollar royalty 33%, but it was. I mean, I looked over at Kirk. I think at one point Kirk wasn't sure if he wanted to make the deal, and I'm just like, we got to make this deal. Man. We had $600, I think, in our bank account and 4,000 receivables when we went on the show. So it was either
do or die
deal or go out of business.
Oh Lord, it's $600, and how much was that?
We have 4,000 in accounts receivable. So I mean, not enough to keep really, pushing the way we needed to push to grow it.
And that was a thing, because as you guys were saying early on in this show about being able to, or again, I'm not sure how it works, but some company and business owners kind of pulling back afterwards. It seems like kind of that back and forth, it was intense to the point where, do you have, I guess, seller's remorse at that point? Because like you said, you guys were trying to get him to a lower percentage and not the royalty, and he just wasn't budging, and you guys ultimately did the deal. And I always thought from just watching the episode, like, and obviously things have worked out tremendously now, but at that moment that you guys are doing a deal and walking out of the tank, was it some, man, I'm not sure if we should have did that, or was it, hey,
not me? I never had a doubt.
No, it was just like, we were just happy we got a deal,
right?
I mean,
nice.
and at that point, we don't really know that 20% of these deals fall through and whatever. We're just thinking, we just got to deal with Kevin O'Leary. He's going to be our business partner. Our numbers are legit. So, I mean, how many people had the opportunity to work with Kevin O'Leary or somebody of like that in business? Not many.
Right.
So for us, it was like, I don't care what percent we had to give up. It's all worth it.
Absolutely. And then after the show, because again, your only experience with Kevin O'Leary is this tense thing during the show. So I guess, how was that interaction with them on the back end? Obviously, he's doing the due diligence of the company. He still seems like wants to be in at this point. Were the subsequent talks, were there a lot more calm and cool and collective positive feedback? How was, I guess, those interactions afterwards?
Yeah, most everything runs through his team, right?
Okay.
He's got CFOs, financial people, accounting people. So all of the due diligence and the likes of those things were done by his team primarily.
Gotcha.
And then we worked through our public relations team and his team to line up different events, like going on Good Morning America or, doing an article interview. So he's been so willing to do all those things. And then, like I said earlier, most recently, he used his connections with QVC to get us that. Yesterday we had our first run. Hopefully it was positive and they invite us to come back on. That's a big deal. If we could line up and be successful on QVC and air a couple times a year, and then right before Thanksgiving, blowing it out. I mean, those are the things we needed him to do that we didn't have the ability. Because even, to be honest, we had sent stuff into QVC before Kevin, and they liked it, but they didn't go with it. Now you got Kevin, it changes everything.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems like, as I'm finding out and just kind of talking to people such as yourselves, a lot of this is just relationships. Like, okay, yeah, we like it, but we don't know you. And not, that isn't always a true where sometimes you are able to penetrate. But it seems like when you have that relationship with Kevin or Lori or someone who they kind of trust and respect and admire, it makes getting things done a lot easier, it seems like, which is always interesting. And that's just not, it seems like that just entrepreneurship and business in general. If you have some relationships with the right people who can, I don't know, it just makes things a lot easier, it seems.
Absolutely. I mean, try calling on retail and you have no name, no one knows you. It's so difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a manufacturer's rep and they have all the connections, and man, they can call those people right up. And it's like, hey, Joe, what you got for me now? And, and it just
makes it a lot easier
for everything in selling.
A lot. Yep. No, absolutely. Absolutely. So then how did you guys, or, at what point is it like, okay, this actually was worth it? Was it the sales? Was like, what after this whole Shark Tank experience transpired? Like you said, he's getting in things like QVC, which that episode was just live yesterday for the first time. But even before then, was it the sales taking off, him getting you on different platforms such as Good Morning America? Was it like, what was it that made
Yeah, I
you
mean,
guys think like
from
this
the, just being on Shark Tank propelled us, obviously. Kevin shared multiple videos, made a lot of content for us. He shares it on his platforms with millions of, views on it. He's done the Good Morning America, multiple interviews. I mean, it's all paid off, and we can tell by sales.
For sure. And, before Shark Tank, we were just a couple crazy inventors, so once you get on Shark Tank and get a shark, then you're no longer a crazy inventor. You're in business now. So that was always good to be on there and how that turned out.
It seems like that kind of gives you guys credibility at this point in terms of like, man, you guys are actually pretty good inventors. So then from a sales perspective, like, I guess what are sales like these days? Afterwards, I think, it was a video or a podcast that I was seeing that you're at some point you guys would like to kind of cross that $1 million barrier here, maybe next year or some time soon. So how are things doing these days as it relates to sales?
I'm trying to rack them up here. Let me see. Plus,
because it seems like that, man. That had to be, like you said. I
would say we're about at $500,000 in total sales.
Nice,
Prior to going on the show, we had 90,000 in total sales. So we've already multiplied sales by at least 5x.
Yep.
And once we get through this fourth quarter, I would say we're going to be, on our way to $1 million.
For sure. Especially with the QVC and again, it's Thanksgiving coming up next month, and then you have Christmas, which are two big holidays where people are cooking turkeys and chickens, and I would imagine that those would be two big holidays. So are you guys, what is it, Amazon? Do you guys have your own website? Where can people kind of get these products at this point?
So you can go to TurboTrusser.com.
Okay.
That's our website where all of our products are on Amazon as well. Nice. If you're a Prime member, you can get them shipped for free within a day or two. We did just come out with a new rub. So if you're looking for some, a new chicken poultry rub, we've got a great product that we just came out with. That's also available on Amazon. We got a poultry brine. So we're trying to come out, we've got you covered. If you want to make the best chicken or turkey or Cornish hens, we've got all the products that you need right there. And they're all available either on turbotrusser.com or Amazon. And then for the future, next year, we're really going to make a push. We've got some retail displays with Kevin's face right on there in his chef's outfit. That's another thing. I mean, how many, getting somebody to allow you to put their celebrity picture right on your product. I mean, that's a difficult thing to do. So.
And it seems like they must really believe in it to do that, because typically celebrities, I guess some celebrities don't really care as long as they get a royalty, but it seems like Kevin, he's been through the game and he knows that, hey, my face or celebrity likeness being on a product, that means something. So I must really believe in this product to kind of attach myself to it in this way, as opposed to just.
I
think
didn't even
you're right.
think of that, but you're right. Putting your face on something that's going to go in every store, you better believe in it. Hopefully in every store. We're targeting the grocery market. That's a big market for us. If we can have our product just sitting by the turkeys and the chickens, it makes a big difference. So we're going to make that big push next year to try to take this thing into the national retail market.
Nice. So then as it relates to national, and I'm kind of winding down as we kind of approach an hour here, is it any, and I'm not sure what the market is like overseas, kind of worldwide, is it any like want or for you guys goal to kind of get it out to other countries, not just the U.S., or are you guys kind of focusing on maybe the U.S. at this point? Obviously, with Amazon and your website, people can order it regardless of what country that they're in. But are you guys kind of focusing just the marketing and advertisement to the U.S. at this point, or do you guys have any plans to go kind of worldwide with it at some point?
I'd say mostly U.S. and Canada, because that's where the majority of chickens and turkeys are consumed. But what other countries, Kirk? I mean, eventually
England, their Christmas in the UK, they eat turkey. So if we would go anywhere, it would be, probably England, maybe Germany, and also Italy, because they have a big barbecue market over there in those three.
Australia
does too.
Not turkeys.
Yep.
And I guess I didn't even think about that. Like, okay, because you think about some countries maybe not even consume chicken on that level to the point where is worthwhile. And kind of bringing this kind of around a little bit to the whole IP side of things. At the beginning, do you guys just get that patent in the U.S. or do you guys, try to get it in other countries as well? Because I know with Nancy Tedeschi, and it was interesting with her story. She actually manufactured her screw, her snapless screw in China, although she sells it in the U.S. and in different countries in Europe. But she spent a ton of money on getting a patent, a ton of money on getting a patent out in China. But I mean, not in China, but and the China patent actually helped out because she was able to successfully defend it versus some infringers in China. So she was really happy for that patent. But she spent like maybe $50K or something on a patent in Europe. And so I forget I'm not sure if it was it was a patent in Europe. But she said if she can do it all over again, she would have saved that money because regardless if somebody can kind of make it in Europe and sell it, she would have been able to, I guess, undercut their prices because if she's manufacturing it for 3 cents in China, they wouldn't have been able to manufacture it for that amount of money in Europe. So regardless if she had protection in Europe and they were, an infringer were able to kind of make it or manufacture it and sell it, they still wouldn't have been able to sell it for as cheap as she would have been able to sell it for in Europe. So I guess I'm saying all that to say, did you guys maybe put any thought at all as far as like
we talked about it, but we were just our lawyer pretty much talked us out of it too. He's like, you guys don't need to do that. He goes, and plus, money was tight. So
and that's another.
I did that with the Kirk wrench. I filed for that so I could file overseas, but then I found out then you got to file in all the certain countries. You just don't make that payment to the international, so you can file international patents. Then you have to actually file the patents.
Yep.
So I don't know, it was $3,000 or something, but we decided to save the money and we didn't do it. So, because I mean, this market's big enough. I mean, there's I don't know, 80 million turkeys sold a year here in the U.S. for 3 holidays. Billions of chickens. Yep. So, we're just if we can be successful and have it across the entire country, that would be ideal.
Okay. No, nice. Yeah, like you said, man, in some instances it's worthwhile. Maybe not so much in this instance, because like you said, once you pay that PCT application, and there's no such thing as a international patent, you have to go into each country that you seek patent protection in, and that's an additional cost with, having to get foreign associates and the prices of each country, the patent office in each country. So
then you have to translate it, right? Don't you have to have a translator?
You have to have translation of the application. So it did, not to mention responding to office actions and stuff like that. So it can get pretty costly once you're talking about trying to seek protection overseas. So I guess maybe my last questions. Obviously things are not always peachy and roses and all that stuff. As far as some roadblocks and some things that you guys hit, maybe that you weren't anticipating or that you guys were anticipating. Can you maybe share some of those roadblocks or I guess obstructions that you guys came up with that you had to work through? Because I don't want anybody, the people who listening to this, to think everything's all peachy and cream and I'm gonna invent something and I can get on Shark Tank and life is going to be good. It's still running the business, and with anything you're running, there's going to be ups and downs and ebbs and flows and stuff like that. Like you said with the account receivables, compared to how much money you actually have. So can you kind of talk about that aspect of it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, there's roadblocks everywhere. I mean, every day there's something. Now we've ironed out a lot of them, but I mean, when we first get started, I mean, you just coming up with the prototype, finding somebody to make you a prototype. Luckily, we found a laser guy here in Canton. But how many we had? 5 different prototypes before or 7 or something. I mean, every time we'd make one, got to go back to the drawing board, got to go back, and then you can't file your PPA. No one can see it until you have your file. Well, you can always change your PPA, but it's better to get it as close as you can. Money, of course, is a big hurdle. What else, Brian?
I mean, we had 5 or 6 products before the TurboTrusser that didn't go anywhere. That's the definition of failing and failing and failing and failing, and then just keep getting back up. And I always tell other people, that have their own product or business and they're just starting, you just need some incremental gains, just a little bit every day. Do something every day. Do a little bit every week. Grow a little bit every chance you get. And if you keep doing that every day, I mean, it's just going to make a positive impact and you're going to go in the right direction. Doesn't mean everybody's going to be a millionaire.
Right.
I mean, we're far from that. We're far, far from that. And even with Shark Tank and Kevin O'Leary, it's still hard.
Yeah. And, you know, another thing is what Brian said earlier, but, you know, we've had several products that we just let go. We just, you know, because I know a lot of inventors, I was like that with my wrench. Your first one's always your baby, but you got to realize if it's not working out, sometimes it's time that's why it's good to file PPAs. So that way you're not spending 10 grand on a patent.
Right.
But man, if it's like Kevin says, you know, on Shark Tank, you know, if it's not working, take it out behind the barn and shoot it, you know, because if your idea is not working, I mean, you got to have a tough conversation with yourself saying, listen, am I going to give this thing up? I mean, if you're making incremental progress, like Brian said, it's great. But man, if you're just hitting the wall every day and you're not getting good feedback, or there's something else similar that's, you know, I mean, I'm not going to say give up, but you got to know when to say when, if you're on the road for more than 3 years with the product and it's not going anywhere.
Right. No, and I absolutely agree with that. And I would probably say, just as a final question here, because my very first guess, as I kind of started to switch gears and get off into the IP, or talking about intellectual property and patents and things like that, was a duo that they created a couple products, which is interesting because it seems like as you get kind of bit by the bug, you're going through this process multiple times. This is not like you're creating one invention and you're done. But it was two gentlemen, and they created the oil udder, which was essentially a device to help you change your car oil, and then they have subsequently came out with the magic shower to help you wash your pet. It's a pretty simple way to do that. It's pretty cool. But he was an engineer. One of the guys was an engineer. One of the guys was like a marketing and advertising guy. And it seems like they work really well together. There's kind of two ends of the spectrum, as opposed to having two engineers and two marketing people, and they're kind of, they'd be able to kind of help each other out and with their blind spots or whatnot. And I'm saying all that to ask, can you talk about the relationship as it relates to having two people do this thing where you guys can kind of check each other's blind spots, but also encourage each other as you have those days where it's like, man, what are we doing? As opposed to just being going through this thing as a solo entrepreneur, as a solo inventor, and not really having anyone to encourage you during those down days, or kind of keep pushing you to keep going. Because it seems like just having this pair between you guys, it really works well, and I think it's paying dividends. And I don't know, I think people should kind of consider that, because you guys can keep each other accountable as opposed to just having one person and not having that accountability or not having that encouragement during those dark days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. I started out as a lone inventor and it sucked, man. Now that Brian and I are partners, he's really good with all the numbers, the sales, the Excel spreadsheets, all that stuff. I'm a contractor. I don't know anything about that stuff. He's got an MBA in business. He's from Malone College, and he's been in the business world. And I've been in the business world a little bit with my construction, but not like crunching numbers and all that stuff. I go give an estimate and do the job and I get paid, so, but finding somebody on your team that's better at something than what you are is key.
Cause Kirk has the technical skills. He can make prototypes. He can write the PPAs. He handles all the logistics. I mean, it's good to have somebody that complements your skills. Like you said, you don't need two engineers. You don't want too many cooks in the kitchen, right? You find somebody that complements you with different skills. But I highly encourage people, if you're going to invent, find somebody that's passionate about it too, if you can, and do it together. Because one, it mitigates the risk. It keeps somebody else that can handle the ups and downs with you. You're both down, but if it's just you, that's a lot of down and in your own head. But if you have two people, you can talk your way back through it and fight back up to the top, because every day, they're right. There's barriers, there's roadblocks, there's going to be bad days, down days. But with two people, you can lift each other up and kind of just keep the foot on the gas, even if it's just those incremental gains.
Yeah, because your family's going to get tired of hearing about it, because I know mine did. My family, Brian's too. No one wants to hear about it, It's just like, well, this guy, shut up already. We're tired of hearing about all your inventions, So now Brian and I, we talk about inventing all the time.
Yep.
So it's easy, because we're passionate about it. So Brian said, find somebody that's passionate about it because your family, dude. I mean, they're listening to you now, but you know, after you're at it for a few years, it's like, shut up already.
Right,
You know?
right,
Yeah, either put up or shut up. Or when are you
up
going to
or
make some money on these ideas that
Yeah.
you're talking about?
No, yeah, that's very true. See, like your family after a while is like, hey, what's the
This ain't
next thing?
working.
Yeah,
Wanna
exactly.
keep going.
Yeah.
But you see those incremental improvements that's keeping you going, but they don't care about the incremental improvements. It's like, hey, man, either put up or shut up. Where's the money? Where's the real money? Where's the
Yeah.
big bag? So that is interesting. So I guess, where can people find you all, guys? How can people order the product? Again, I know we talked about it earlier, but you know, Thanksgiving is coming around, holiday season, Christmas is coming around. Those people consume a lot of, you know, turkey, a lot of chickens. How can people find you guys or get in touch with you guys, or how can people order the product as we close out here?
You can find us at TurboTrusser.com. That's our website. All the products will be there. We're on Amazon as well. And then if you want to find us on Facebook, TurboTrusser, Instagram, TikTok, and then personally, you can connect with Kirk and myself on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
We're love to connect with entrepreneurs, inventors. We love to help other people out as well anytime we can. So connect with us on there, and we'd love to chat.
Yep.
Definitely. Well, I definitely appreciate you guys. This was actually a fun interview for me. I've learned a lot and just kind of hearing about the experience on Shark Tank. I think that was just kind of icing on the cake with everything. So, hey, I would love to kind of stay in contact with you guys. And yeah, thanks again for giving me a little bit of time today to kind of go through your guys' journey as inventors and as business owners.
Thanks,
for
David.
having us, David.
Yeah, this was awesome. We'd love to come back like in 6 months or a year and give everybody an update of, hopefully it's a great,
Hopefully it's a good one.
yeah. Hopefully it's not, hey guys, well, that we're out of business, but our next invention, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to keep grinding incremental gains, but definitely we'd love to come back and do an update down the road.
No, absolutely. I would love that. And hey, I know for sure that you guys will come back and say, hey, we crossed that $1 million threshold, and we're really hitting the ground running with this thing and in retail stores and all that good stuff. So I'll definitely love to have you guys back in for updates in 6 months to a year. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, David.
David, I appreciate it.
Take care.